Hello and welcome to TDN Africa Media. The viewers would like to know your name and your position.
I am Reverend Acccused S. Koroma, Principal of Providence International High School.
Okay, Mr. Koroma, you're highly welcome to TDN Africa Media.
Yes,
thanks
for having me.
Today we want to talk about the accident that occurred that involving one of your teachers, the late Mr. Expulsion Johnson. So we want to look at that today because a lot have been said about the school. So we want to have clarifications on this thing. First of all, when the news broke that day, how did you receive that particular message?
We were very much saddened and devastated by the sad news of the death of Mr. Gillis E.O. Johnson, who happened to be our Deputy Director of Studies. And so we wasted no time but to visit his residence at Victoria Street, and from there we proceeded to John Street where his family members are.
Okay, so on the part of the investigation, we wouldn't want to prejudice the matter for now.
Of course.
But from what we have gathered so far, there is a lot that we need to know from the school. Now, having been that investigations are going on, what has the school done in terms of contributing towards the investigation?
So far, we have told the family that we will stand by them, that will condemn the act, and will cry for justice for Mr. Johnson. And I was also invited to the CID, and they've obtained statement from me, and they asked for some documents from the school which I have submitted to them. We are very much in touch with the family. We are involved in every thick and thin of the arrangements having to do with this the funeral of Mr. Johnson.
Okay, it's a very sad occurrence, and it has to do with a very young boy from your school. What was the position of this boy when it comes to the school? Was he still part of the school system?
He was very much a bona fide PP of the school. I won't deny that. He is currently in SS3 Arts, and he's supposed to be a candidate for WAS for School Candidates 2023. So he was entered as a candidate, and he has been coming to school. To dispel all the rumors going around that he was expelled, and that was why he decided to take revenge on Mr. Johnson because he apparently prosecuted him, is not true. That boy was never expelled from this school. Yes, I admit we expelled some pupils from the school, but his name was not on that list. 13 pupils were expelled on the 16th of February 2023.
Okay, for that expulsion, most of the pupils that were expelled, what led to the expulsion, and how normally do you do that when you want to expel pupils from the school?
Well, our school has a system. There are rules and regulations, and anytime we are admitting pupils to this school, they buy, after the purchase of the admission form, they take entrance exam, and that is still not the end. If you are successful, because we are looking for a threshold mark that you should score, and you will be further invited for interview. If you are a successful candidate, then we'll give you admission letter. And then we'll set aside one day that we call orientation ceremony to take them through the rules and regulations as we have actually compiled it into a Providence handbook. And clearly we have offenses that go with expulsion. We have offenses in the handbook that go with suspension. We have minor offenses that we can ask you to wear gray or brown or white or black, as the case may be. Or there may be cases where we can maybe give you corporal punishment or detention. So all Providence PPs know that we operate on those parameters. So when a complaint is brought before the administration, we have an investigation team, which is actually the disciplinary committee. So they will investigate the matter, and any PP that is found wanting, then we apply the law accordingly as recorded in the Providence handbook. So we don't just sit down and pick on PPs who to expel or who to suspend. There is a procedure, and after we follow the procedure to the letter, then we'll call the parents in to let them know before we even give out either suspension or expulsion letter. And we have never given it to any people to take to parents or guardian. So we always invite their parents or guardians to come to school, and we hand the letter to them. So that's the procedure.
A lot of people think this boy that did this particular thing was under the influence of a particular substance, so to speak. There have been this allegation that you do have a designated area in this school compound where these boys have these things.
Well, I am not a drug specialist to test whether they are taking substances. Let me clear that area first. And two, we are not aware of any drug deal or any hideout where people take drug on the premises of Providence International High School. It's not possible, because the system we have put in place, we have a lot of supervisors and monitors, not only monitoring the activities of the teachers, but as well as the PPs. For every class, we have what we call a pass, so that no people comes out of any class without a pass, and there are no two passes assigned to one class. So which means if a PP has to come out, the teacher who is teaching in that class at that very moment have to excuse that pupil either to the restroom or to any other teacher or any area in the school. So they will hand the pass over to you, and if you are caught in the corridor without a pass, you'll be punished by the monitors or the supervisors. So there is no hideout here. You try it once, you'll be caught and you'll be prosecuted, and you will face the music. So I am not aware that there is any corner here for boys and girls to drink and smoke. This is not a cartel.
So has there been any case of such in the school compound? Like after, have you got any school people that have fallen prey in terms of that?
In the past, it had happened, but I have always treated such cases as isolated cases.
Okay.
For instance, we went to for our Foundation Day celebration at the Bintumani International Conference Center, and the boy was having a rubber of drink, purportedly to be this soft drink.
Yeah.
But later on, we discovered that there was alcohol in it, and so when he took that substance to a point he was intoxicated, we had to pull him aside to a secluded room and call his parents to pick him up, and he was expelled at once because we don't want him to be a bad influence on others. So anytime any case of drug or alcoholism or even cigarette smoking is reported to us, we have always investigated, and those found wanting had been expelled without fear or favor. So I wonder where they got their story from.
Okay, so now let's come back to the killing of Mr. Gliss. Every finger is now pointing at your school people, so to speak.
Yeah.
So what was the relationship between Mr. Gliss and this particular young boy?
There was a very good and cordial relationship, PP-teacher relationship between the suspect and the deceased. As far as I know, because most of the time the deceased used to sit by my office, though he has his own office, and I have seen him on a number of occasions giving money to the boy to go and buy food during lunch, and sometimes when he eats, he will leave the remnant for this boy in question. And even neighbors told me when I visited his residence after his demise that the boy has been frequenting that place, and they see him as an errand boy for Mr. Johnson. They see him as a dedicated or committed pupil taking lessons with this man. So the relationship was cordial from school onto his home. It was all cordial.
So have you been able to speak to the boy's family since this occurrence?
No, I have not been able to see either the father or the mother. Neither have they come to the school. So I have not been able to contact them at all.
People are saying there are some of your pupils that are hiding. Is that true?
Hiding for what? Because if you are expelled, you have no business to do with the school. So there is no need for you to hide. And you know it's a crime to put on even our school uniform, identifying yourself with an institution that has already expelled you. So I'm not aware of that.
So some people are saying it's as a result of the death of Mr. Bliss.
I don't know.
And you just think this young boy in question is the only people from Providence in this case?
I can't tell. The investigators will have to prove that beyond all reasonable doubt. But I can't tell as I sit here.
Okay, we would not push you to prejudice the matter.
Okay.
But however, what is the school's position when it comes to the investigation, and what is your expectation at the end of the day?
Well, we expect justice to be served, because we are still mourning the irreparable loss of Mr. Johnson, who was a think tank for the school. Mr. Johnson had contributed for a decade to the well-being of this school. So we are very much concerned, and we are interested in all the proceedings relating to the investigation relating to the death of Mr. Gillis, and want justice to be served as at their earliest convenience, because I am not in their shoes. We will also continue to stand with the family in everything they do, and we'll continue to mourn with them. And we condemn the acts outrightly as heinous, inhuman, and very cruel.
Okay, so now, what would be your final message to parents of this school and parents of other schools?
Yes, I will have to say this as an administrator on behalf of this institution. Parents and guardians are sending children from their homes who are indisciplined. And even in our admission form, there's provision there for health history. It is not wrong for any parent or guardian seeking admission to any school for his or her child or ward to inform the administration what's the state of this child. Is it in the business of drugs or alcohol? Is this child a delinquent child? Is this child disobedient? And that kind of stuff. That will in no way reduce the chances of the administrators admitting the child to the school. You get me? Because I, for one, have been helping many by my counseling and prayer and befriending those delinquent children. So let the parents and guardians also play their own role. You cannot send the child to school expecting the school administration and school authorities to work out miracles for your child. So you begin to check their bags, befriend them, sit by them, discuss things with them. You get me? Know their problems and their challenges. Let them open up to share with you, and that will help them a lot. And for the school authorities, I always tell my teachers, befriend these children, because you arouse interest in even your subject by how you relate with them. You make them grow to hate your subject by how you relate with them. So befriend them, because they are our children and we are their moral guarantors. Otherwise they will not have been entrusted in our care. And there are certain minor offenses. You call them aside and correct them without even the so-called corporal punishment or whatever form of suspension or even warning letter. You get me? You can talk to them, and some will promise you that it will never happen, and indeed they will keep to their promise. So there are many ways for us as administrators, and as well as the parents and guardians, and even the community people. Gone are those days when we used to say PTA meeting, parent teachers meeting. Now we call it CTA, Community Teachers Association meeting. So the community people too should be concerned about our school. That when you see a child misbehaving in the streets, you know, you have the right to come to the school to identify that child, maybe even during devotion, because some of us who were not bad boys in school, I won't say that, but we saw our companions, community people will come to assembly and identify them, that this was the boy who fought the other boy yesterday, and they call their names up and they punish them for what they did. So that will help these children to grow, to put up what is good and acceptable behavior. Some don't even know what is good and acceptable behavior, what behavior is inimical to society, and what behavior is commendable or even praised by community people. So we have a lot to do, but the school cannot do it all.
Okay, in few words, what are the mantras of the school?
What we stand for? Yeah, we stand for academic excellence and discipline. That one we have been known for, and there's no way we are going to compromise that one for anybody or for any situation or circumstance. Never. And God is always by our side, because we mean good for every child entrusted in our care. We don't want anybody to be a dropout from here. So that is what we stand for, and will continue to stand for.
Okay, thank you so much for talking to TDN Africa Media.
Welcome.
He is Reverend Koroma, the principal for the Providence International High School. He's just giving us his own view and the view of the school on the matter that has to do with the late Mr. Gillis E.O. Johnson.